experiences that she went through as a child. Being ignored by her mum, being bullied by her older brother, where she felt in both cases helpless, unsafe and disregarded. So releasing these strong emotions, helping her to feel more confident in herself, in her appearance, and discussing a plan for her to decide, does she want to create a new relationship with Reza or does she want to move on? Because there's no point in trying to get back to how things were. The experience of life, we change anyway, and the experience of cheating and an affair to a couple, it changes. It changes the dynamic, it changes the relationship, it changes people, and so hopefully most people come out stronger, wiser, knowing what they want. They've done a lot of research on relationships, they've done a lot of research on recovery and how to make things better, and it's about creating that new, happier home environment, loving relationship, putting the romance back in, putting the passion back into the sex, and starting again, deciding to create a new relationship. And sometimes with couples we make new vows. We redo an online wedding ceremony. And sometimes they go off and they do that. And with me, it's not a proper ceremony, but it's more of like a loving testimonial to each other. And then often couples say, look, if this goes well with this new relationship that we're creating, these new communication tools, and we've both healed individually, then we'll book a really nice holiday and we'll do a wedding vow renewal, which is a really lovely thing. Sometimes couples will ask their husband or wife to propose to them again. They want a new proposal, which again is a lovely thing, and a new honeymoon. So they're all nice things that you can do once you've decided that this is what you want and you've decided that you want to clear the past individually. With the person that's cheated, often I help them to just really get to the root of why they have done it. Is it an addiction? Are they looking to escape? Do they have low self-esteem? How could they prevent it from happening again? What was it about this other person that captivated them? What did they lie to themselves to be able to do it if it was more than a one-time thing? And this can then really help. Of course, if there's drugs and alcohol involved, like how to address that, how to put some barriers and some boundaries and some limits so that that will never happen again. This can help the couple move forward. Unfortunately, if couples don't decide that they're ready to break free, that they're ready to create a new relationship, that they're ready to let go of the past, it can come up. And when we do the sort of creating a new relationship, of course, part of that is handling, okay, what will you both do if triggers come up? Because what happens to the unconscious mind when a really extremely significant emotional event happens is it goes into overdrive, panic mode. And so it really wants to protect you, because our unconscious mind always wants to do everything to protect us. And it holds all of our memories, all of our emotions, all of our beliefs, all of our values. And if all of these have been breached, our beliefs, our values, if we've got loaded emotions with the memories of discovering everything, then it will want to protect you, so it will keep sending warning signals. So for the person that's recovering, it will say, warning, what about this? What if they do this again? What if they say this? And it just will go into overdrive, and that's when people get panic attacks. And this can happen, of course, without cheating. It could be another emotional significant event. And if this emotional significant event of the cheating has awakened other painful events where you've been maybe betrayed before, lied to before, where you felt helpless, where you felt trapped, where you felt wronged, it can awaken all of this. And then your mind will just want to keep repeating the negative thoughts to you, because it's saying to you, please be careful, please pay attention, help, I don't want you to get hurt again, we can't go through this again. So it's trying to sort of bring these up. And this is often why, when people are recovering from an affair, they get over the first 6 months and they think, great, I'm doing great. Or they go over the first 8 months or a year, they think, yeah, I'm getting better. And then all of a sudden, the unconscious mind will bring up emotions, negative thoughts, big triggers. Because when we're in a good place, our mind brings up things to be resolved. Because it's not helpful to hold on to negative emotions from the past. It's not helpful, it actually harms the body to hold on to anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, and all these other kind of emotions in our mind, because it can manifest in illnesses in the body, it can make someone feel tired and weak. And so when our mind thinks we're ready to handle things, it will bring them up for resolution. And it's doing that to protect us. Of course, it doesn't feel like that at the time. It can feel like, am I going crazy? I don't understand. I was just so happy. And then why on earth now am I just overwhelmed with these feelings again? And so having tools to release these emotions, having tools to handle them in a more positive way is really essential. So whether you work with me or whether you find someone else that you like and that you trust and has tools and tips, it's not just talking therapy. Going over everything reinforces the problem. If you think over everything, if you talk over everything that's happened, it can reinforce the pattern. So that's why I say to couples at the beginning, talk through everything, get it all out. But then repeating of the past doesn't help, because you need to be able to stop that. Otherwise you'll both be reliving it, and then that reinforces it into the mind. Yes, there's a problem. Yes, I feel bad. Yes. And then it makes the emotions stay rather than to be released. So look at ways to handle emotions, look at ways to release emotions, look at ways to change any decisions that are made. When emotionally significant events happen, we often make decisions. And these decisions can be helpful or unhelpful. Unhelpful decisions like, I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm rejected, I'll never be enough, I'm unloved, I hate them, I'll never forget, I'll never forgive, I'll never move past, I'll never trust again. Those beliefs, often, in my experience, when I help people to release them, they feel so much better, because holding on to them is limiting their daily happiness, their daily peace, their day-to-day enjoyment of life. Because they're unable, with those kind of beliefs, to have a loving relationship, to live in the present moment. They're living in the past. And no one, unfortunately, can release and help you release your emotions and help you release any decisions that were made that don't support you unless you want to. And this is where sometimes couples can fall into the mistake on affair recovery, is they're waiting for the person that has cheated to be absolutely perfect with their behaviour for a sustained period of time, sometimes a lifetime, and for them to sit back and watch and see if they want to then engage in the relationship. They're waiting for their inside to be fixed by outside actions of other people. And that doesn't work, unfortunately. It would be great if it did, but it doesn't. The only way to fix what's going on in the inside, the images, the thoughts, the emotions, is to do the work on ourselves. When we look outside to solve the inner problems, this is where we get stuck. And of course, I'm not saying that the person who has cheated doesn't need to be very loving, very compassionate, very kind, very honest, stick to their word. If they say they're going to do something, they do it. If they say they're going to be home at a certain time, they are. If they say they're going to give you access to their phone or their emails willingly, they do so. That they're true to what they say. Because sometimes I do these breakthrough sessions with people that are compulsive liars. And this is really challenging because it can be really extremely hard, of course, for people to move on if they just are just so scared of their partner lying. So when I do them for the person that lies, it's getting to the root of, okay, when did you learn the pattern of lying? Most people I've worked with, it starts early on as a coping mechanism to either be liked by parents, be liked by teachers, fit in with other people. They learn, lie to be loved, lie to be liked, lie to survive, lie to escape pain. And I'm not making excuses for lying, I'm just saying that's often how it starts. So I talked a lot here about some of the things that can happen, and now let's talk about some tips for you. So specifically talking about verbal abuse and affairs. First of all, look at, is the verbal abuse a constant in the relationship? Has the verbal abuse been there at the beginning of the relationship, even before the affair? Because many studies have shown that verbal abuse does contribute to low self-esteem. And low self-esteem is one of the biggest triggers that I come across for people looking for attention outside of the relationship. They feel insecure in themselves, and then they want to go and see, am I attractive? Am I desirable? Or they feel very insecure and someone comes along and pays them attention and they play with it because they love how the other person is making them feel, because they can't make themselves feel that good on their own. So again, just as like I was mentioning earlier, it's that case of people having low self-esteem issues or internal issues, and they're looking outside for people to give them what they are missing it from the inside, which is not sustainable. We can't look outside of us for solutions. So if verbal abuse isn't a constant in the relationship, why is that? Where is that coming from? When was that pattern learned? What are you going to do to change it? Create a new way of communicating. Learn new communication tools if you need to. Release repressed anger. Deal with resentment. Deal with negative thinking. Deal with anxiety. Whatever causes verbal abuse, it has to be dealt with. There's always a cause. And getting to the cause and clearing that is essential. So what happens if verbal abuse is just started as a result of the cheating? It's not unusual for couples to argue a lot more, for really hurtful things to come out after the discovery of an affair. And this is actually quite normal and natural in the first 1 to 4 weeks. Sometimes for some people it can carry on a bit longer. Many describe it to me like they feel that the rug has been ripped up from underneath them and they've fallen crashing to the floor. And some people describe it that they just want to be swallowed up in a hole and just forget everything. They don't want to be themselves. They don't want to be living their life. They don't want to go through the days. Many find that they cannot sleep, eat or think. The mind is on overdrive. They feel shaken and totally out of sorts. Anger, fear, rage, regret, resentment take over. And there has to be patience for this. Of course, I never advocate angry outbursts, verbal abuse, hurtful comments. However, experience doing this has shown me that when people love so much, are hurt so much, the worst comes out. And even though it's draining and demoralizing, compassion, patience is really needed. And hopefully if you can give that compassion and patience, it will last less than a month. Sometimes it can last up to 3 months with episodes. But even if it stops after 1 month, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be an angry outburst in the future if it's not dealt with, if things aren't addressed, and if the person hasn't given full disclosure, if they find out that they've been lied to again, if there's other triggers that come up. or if the person is struggling to let it go because